Well, I just saw that Eve Barlow is touting a new supposedly in-depth study by Bot Sentinel. Ooh, it sounds very official. Bot Sentinel, yes. But this organization named Bot Sentinel that Amber Heard had previously employed, and they swear that that they now have nothing to do with her, right? This is all on their own. They published a major report today on the supposed harassment that Amber Heard and her followers have suffered on Twitter in the wake of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Now, we know that so many people in the mainstream media and the blue check marks have just been, bemoaning and pearl clutching. Oh my goodness, what's happening on social media? There's so many people attacking Amber Heard, and for no good reason. We can't even imagine why they would have legitimate reason to attack her. It's not like she went on a multi-year campaign of destruction against a beloved man, and in the process has almost completely destroyed Me Too, or at least destroyed Believe Women for the foreseeable future. Yeah, nothing to dislike there, nothing to complain about. Well, anyway, Bot Sentinel in their 17-page report, and let me just tell you about that 17 pages. So I went to Bot Sentinel's website and I looked at the report. Let's be honest, Bot Sentinel, that 17 pages, it ain't really 17 pages, okay? You've got a lot of empty space on a lot of those pages. There's a lot of tricky stuff going on with the font and the borders and all of that. As a former English professor, I recognize when someone is trying to stretch a really pretty inadequate paper into multiple pages, and that's what Bot Sentinel has done. Take a look yourself. But anyway, so what are their big claims? Well, they're trying to, in this report, and moreover in the media coverage that this report is garnering, and in the way that this is going to be spun by Amber Heard's people, they're trying to make it seem like there's this hyper-coordinated effort involving nefarious players and nefarious practices, and also they're trying to imply, without actually saying it because it's not true, that there's something highly artificial going on. Because they want to make people think that there are these artificial bots, that Johnny Depp has all of these artificial bots instead of real supporters, and that instead of Johnny Depp's support coming together organically with real people who actually have real feelings about this case, rather they want you to think that it's just mostly a lot of artificial support and the use of bots and things like that. Now, what's interesting is that if you actually read into the report, or if you actually read more deeply into the interview that the Bot Sentinel guy did with CBS, he does actually concede, Bot Sentinel does actually concede that, no, we're not actually talking about real bots. We're talking about real people. In other words, this 17-page report isn't even alleging that anyone is using bots. It's alleging that there are Johnny Depp supporters who really dislike Amber Heard, and they're saying some mean stuff on Twitter, and they're using the hashtags too much. Because you gotta understand, the hashtags, they're very precious. You cannot overuse them, right? It's like a very sort of like, it's like a racehorse, right? You see the horses racing, for those like 2 minutes or whatever when they're at the Kentucky Derby, and the rest of the time, like, they have to be pampered and well taken care of because they're very sort of delicate animals, right? So we don't want to overuse the hashtags. We don't want to overtax them, just like we don't want to overtax the horses, right? That's their reasoning, I guess. No, what they complain about in this ridiculous report is that apparently Johnny Depp supporters who are tweeting on Twitter, they're using hashtags too much, and they're even conspiring to use the hashtags, to get hashtag campaigns going. Oh my God, we've never heard of that before. I thought that was one of the points of Twitter. I thought that one of the rationales with Twitter is that you could use things like hashtags to mobilize public support. I thought that was the whole point of the hashtags, was to spread the hashtags around. Not so, says Bot Sentinel. There's something very nefarious, very, very troubling, very concerning going on. Now, were there some things in the report that were disturbing? So there was one page in the report where they published 14 tweets by supposed Johnny Depp supporters, and I'll just take it on face value that these are real Johnny Depp supporters and that these weren't, Amber Heard supporters pretending to be Depp supporters or anything like that, okay? Occam's razor, let's take it face value. These are real Depp supporters. It was 14 tweets of Depp supporters saying pretty vile things that I would definitely not say, and that I don't support being said. That having been said, do you know how many things have been tweeted about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation over the years? I mean, I would guess millions of tweets. So if you're telling me, Bot Sentinel, that showing me 14 tweets that anecdotal evidence is supposed to mean anything, I want to see in your research a categorization of what percentage of Johnny Depp tweets had this kind of offensive language in it. Because I'll tell you something. I've been paying attention for a long time to the Johnny Depp Amber Heard situation, all right? And I've seen a hell of a lot of tweets, okay? I've seen the same tweets a lot of you have. And I almost never have seen something tweeted by a Johnny Depp supporter where I was like, oof, oh, that's terrible. I've seen a lot more abuse tweeted by Amber Heard supporters, all right? And I just think that it goes without saying, look, everyone understands that Twitter can be kind of a wild, wild west in a way, unless you have, politically unorthodox opinions and they just cut you off. But yeah, there's gonna be some mean people who are gonna say some mean things sometimes. That's the price you pay for free speech. And guess what? We put up with it because we realized that if we didn't allow people to say mean things sometimes, then we wouldn't be able to express our feelings, right? Because it's very subjective. So if you're telling me, Bot Sentinel, that I am supposed to be convinced that Twitter is such a horribly abusive place to Amber Heard supporters, you're going to have to show me more than 14 out of millions of tweets. All right. And you're also going to need to address the fact that a lot of Amber Heard supporters, I would say many more Amber Heard supporters than Johnny Depp supporters, are very abusive online as well. Why don't you include in your report all of the abuse that's been spewed at Johnny Depp supporters, at people defending Johnny Depp, at people defending Marilyn Manson? Oh, by the way, I notice that in the report, we'll see if this gets picked up by the media, but in Bot Sentinel's report, they also mentioned Evan Rachel Wood. That's right, Marilyn Manson supporters. Bot Sentinel is also alleging that Evan Rachel Wood is being harassed and abused. They put that into this report. You can see they're paving the way for this transition to the Marilyn Manson thing and to start hitting hard on Marilyn Manson defenders and saying that we're harassing Evan Rachel Wood and we're harassing Evan Rachel Wood's followers because they put that in the report. They mentioned that Evan Rachel Wood was starting to get abuse, just like Amber Heard and her supporters. You know what one of the most irritating things was about this report is the way that they prominently cited Michelle Dauber, Stanford professor Michelle Dauber's BS story about how a Depp supporter somehow figured out that her daughter was dead and got an old picture of her dead daughter and then used it to harass her on Twitter. Well, a number of sharp-eyed Twitter users basically did some research on this, and it kind of seems like Michelle Dauber is the one who was tweeting these abusive things with her daughter's picture. And it's not the first time that we would see this Me Too crowd try to frame others in a hoax. And Michelle Dauber, that's what I and a lot of others believe that she did with this thing about her daughter. Oh, someone's tweeting a dead picture of my daughter abusing me online. Yeah, well, there's a lot that's really fishy about that. And I'd like to make a video on it later, but there's a lot that's very fishy, and I do not find Michelle Dauber to be credible at all. And of course, she has a prominent place in this Bot Sentinel report. In fact, there's a whole page devoted to Michelle Dauber, except, like I said, most of the page is empty, and there's like 2 paragraphs about Michelle Dauber, and they don't even mention her name. They say, in the interest of protecting her, we don't want to violate her anonymity and divulge who she is. So they refer to her as this university professor. She has no name, no identity, and they assure us that her family was targeted and pictures of her dead child were used to harass her on Twitter, even though a number of us on Twitter have already debunked that. Michelle Dauber is full of BS, and she's a hoaxer in a lot of ways, just like Amber Heard. Okay? So, there's just so much BS in the Bot Sentinel report. And if you read through it closely, there's some other interesting things. For instance, they try to paint it as very nefarious, that a certain percentage of the accounts created to defend Johnny Depp were created just recently in the last several months. Well, maybe the reason those accounts were created recently is because there's kind of something that's happened in the last several months that's really ginned up interest in this case. I don't know, maybe you missed it. There was a trial. You actually talk about it in your Bot Sentinel report. That may be the reason Why? A lot of people jumped on board. It's nothing nefarious. Again, it's very organic. It was a fascinating news story. It's a fascinating trial. And a lot of people found the message compelling because a lot of people know that Me Too has gone too far and that Amber Heard was full of. So, no big conspiracy there as to why there would be new accounts, many new accounts that would be created recently, all right? And you know, they say people use hashtags too much. They repost things too much that other people have said or whatever. This is the way you use Twitter. This is the way you get a message out, right? It's called social media for a reason. We're social and we are sharing things. Duh, Twitter. Duh, Bot Sentinel. Took a 17-page report for you to analyze all that. So anyway, you can see where I stand on this Bot Sentinel report. And you know, it's interesting too, those of you who have been supporters of Andrew Cuomo, another one who, whatever you think of his politics, was unfairly lynched and was falsely accused. His primary accuser, Lindsey Boylan, who I should start calling her Amber Heard 3.0, I guess, since Evan Rachel Wood is Amber Heard 2.0. But Lindsey Boylan, Andrew Cuomo's main accuser and nemesis, she just had to get herself in an article on this Bot Sentinel report. So if you look at the big CBS News report that's out about this, the interview with the Bot Sentinel guy, they also quote Cuomo accuser Lindsey Boylan, who complains about the abuse that she's gotten. Ridiculous. Look, everybody. What is that? Is it the Steve Jobs thing that they're always quoting about? First they laugh at you, then they attack you, then you win, or I don't even know. I've lost track, and people don't like to use it anymore since Elizabeth Holmes used it so much. But there is some truth in it. We have definitely hit on a nerve, and we are definitely making a difference, and we are changing minds if they are this worried that they're having to publish these empty, ridiculous reports and puff them up as if they're giving us these new revelations, when in fact all they're telling us is that a bunch of people got interested in the Johnny Depp case toward the end. You had a bunch of people supporting Depp. They were using hashtags and copying and retweeting and stuff, and it's all totally fine. And then yes, maybe you had like 14 messages that you could pick out and show me where people went over the line. That's all that's in that report. It's nothing that Eve Barlow should be touting. But of course, we know that she can't see through BS. So that's par for the course. Everybody, I'm going to have more on this case, more on the Manson case, more on a bunch of other things. Like and subscribe. If you enjoyed what I said today, hit me up on PayPal, Patreon, and I will see you later.